everyone. Thank you for joining us on this webinar today. My name is Kayla K. Shields, and I am a marketing associate for DecoNetwork. With us today is DecoNetwork consultant Zach Dewhurst. As a DecoNetwork consultant, Zach uses his 10+ years of experience to help other garment decoration businesses become more efficient and profitable through the implementation of DecoNetwork and other custom-tailored strategies. For today's webinar, Zach will be sharing how to create your DecoNetwork e-commerce store. Throughout the webinar, if you have any questions for Zach, feel free to write and send those to us in the chat. We'll be going over your questions at the end of the webinar with the Q&A session. With that said, Zach, what do you have for us today?
Thanks, Kay. Well, today we're going to build a website, or essentially go over how you would build your own website for customers to come to purchase custom decorated products and services. So what I have here is a website that we're going to click on. And to access the front end of your website to start editing, you just come over to Edit Website, Website Pages. Now with DecoNetwork's content management system, it is primarily a drag and drop, also known as a what you see is what you get editor. And you're going to see that you don't have to have a large amount of web design experience in order to be able to put together a beautiful site using DecoNetwork software. First thing I want to do is go over the different navigation within the website pages. First, we have the theme. And the theme is really primarily just the layout of the header. Where do we want the logo? Where do we want the navigation? Now, the only part of the website that is not drag and drop is the header itself. So if you want to get a more dynamic look to your header, you can always add custom CSS and HTML, and that'll allow you to change the look of the header itself or any other part of the website. The most common themes are this one and this one, the primary difference being logo at the top, navigation bottom. This one, logo on the left, navigation to the right. Now, after you select your theme, you then want to come into the design section. The design section directly correlates with the theme and heavily revolves around what colors and what fonts are we using by default throughout the website. In the logo and title, I can change the website name. I can upload a logo. It is important to remember that if you upload a logo for the desktop, you want to upload a different one for the mobile. Within the style editor, you can easily change the font and color scheme of the site. The two most popular areas you're going to edit is the headings and the buttons. So if you look right now, we have a button here, we have a heading here. And if I change these, they'll automatically pass throughout the website. So we'll just change this border color, for example, to red. And it applies throughout the entire site. And then I can go into the page itself. And if I want to override the default, I absolutely can. And then the text right here, that is known as a header. And if I hover over the correct one, let's say I don't like this font and I want to change the font by default everywhere to Roboto. I can select that font and it applies throughout the whole site. So the theme allows us to establish the layout of the header. Within the design style editor, we can begin styling all of the headings, buttons, and navigation at the top. The page options is where we can simply choose what other features we want in the header. Most shops don't need to display the currency, but maybe they want to display the telephone number or the capability to search the site. So these page options allow us really just to choose what little things we see up at the top. And lastly, within the design, you have the social site links where you can put in your social media profiles to display. But the theme and the design are really something you configure at the very beginning of your site, and you're not really changing a whole lot. If you look at a website, really websites are just a series of pages, and each page displays content. And when I'm on the pages section, I can easily add, copy, or delete pages from the site. Now, by default, there's probably more pages that are on than you need. Most websites that you use to act kind of as your own customink.com, in which you're pushing custom decoration products and services, you're not wanting to distract your customer with retail products. What I mean by that is you're not typically going to show your own designs, and thus we don't need to show it in the menu. So I'm not going to show the designs page. We do the same thing with decorated products. Most businesses, a cafe or a Zazzle, Cafe Press Zazzle, they push both custom products and their own design products. Most of the deco sites don't, so you're better off hiding the designs and decorated products page from your site to begin with. The word home, nowadays, no one has the word home typically in the navigation. Everybody knows that the logo is a link to the home page. So I'm not going to show the word home. I think you can probably see as I turn on and off pages, what I'm doing is I'm creating the overall navigation of the site. And nowadays, less is more. You want the customer to easily know what page or area of the site to go to and then interact with. So we have products, designer, about, contact, and our quote tools. The designer. So some shop owners like to let the customer go straight to the design tool. Personally, I much rather the customer select a blank product before going to the design tool. So I typically don't show the designer. I want the customer to select a blank product to then get to the design tool. About. 10 years ago, everybody visited an about page for a website. That's kind of how we started to gauge, can I trust this business or not? Nowadays, very few people go to the about page like they used to. What I prefer to do a lot of the time is I will combine the contact page into about/contact. So we could have, instead of 2 pages with a little bit of content, we can make one more robust page that has a lot of natural overlap. So I might change this to about/contact and have both information about the business and how they can get a hold of us. So again, home, products, about, contact. Then we have 2 quoting tools. So Deco has 2 great tools in which a customer can get a quote, and they are very different. The request a quote is the probably more popular one, and that is a form that the customer can fill out, and then we get back to them with the price. When the customer fills out the request a quote form, it creates a quote request in Business Hub. So it's easy for you to update it, send it back to the customer for approval, and then hopefully it becomes an actual order. In our example, I'm going to assume that the customer wants to use both the request a quote and the quick quote. And I'm not a big fan of having 2 links at the top that say quote. So we're going to turn them both off, and we're going to create a new solution. So request a quote is our form. Our quick quote is more of a calculator. The customer often wants an instant price to kind of compare you against the competition's price. So we're going to, again, not show it up here. And we're going to make a new page. So you can see the first thing I did was I turned off the pages, or I hid the ones that aren't really going to be helpful for our customers. And now we're going to start adding additional pages. So let's add a page, and we're going to call it Get a Quote. And what I want to do is I want to direct the customer to the correct quote tool using this Get a Quote page. So we talked about the theme, the design. You see how I can navigate the pages. Now it comes to adding the content to a page. Whatever page I'm on, I can then edit, and I can do that by coming over to widgets. There are over 30 widgets here. So look at it as there's over 30 different types of content that we can drag and drop onto a page. So if I want to add a button, I just come here to the button, drag it onto the page, and then I can edit the way that the button looks and acts by using the widget settings here for the button. The widget settings, they look more complicated than they actually are. The first two columns are unique to this specific widget. So this is a button. And with this button, I can choose what color scheme I want it to be, what font, or I could change between the style editor presets that we talked about earlier. So I could change it in this case, and it's white on white, so that's not going to work. And I can always override it. You know, if I again want it to be red, I absolutely can. And let's just give it a hover, make it black. Let's go over to widgets and let's add a different type of widget. Let's add an image. Now remember, each widget, the first two columns are unique to that widget. So for an image, I can decide maybe I want to make it black and white. That's unique to an image. That's not unique to a button. They have very different concerns or capabilities for the first two columns. But everything from background to advanced is identical. You don't have to relearn what's possible. So for example, I could come into layout, alignment, and I could align this right. It aligns the image right. Same thing with my button here. Click on the button, layout, alignment, right. So in a very simplistic view, a website has a series of pages. You can choose what pages you have. You can then select a page, and then you can edit the content on a page. The content is whatever is on the page itself, and those are in the form of widgets. Once you drag your widget onto the page, you can configure the way it acts and looks using the widget settings. The first two columns are unique to that type of widget. Everything from background to advanced is identical. Now, before we start adding our content to a page, what we want to do is add something called a row/column. When you're on a website, it doesn't matter what website it is, content is broken up into rows. You will have a row of content, another row of content, and then within the row, you have columns. Let me just jump around real quick. Sorry, I didn't already have it pulled up. But let's go to customink.com, for example. If you're looking at Custom Ink, this banner is a row. This is a row, 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 row. Within each row, we have columns. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4 columns, 3 columns. 2 columns, 3 columns. I think you get it. As the screen gets smaller, the rows either all get, the content pushes down and gets smaller, or it starts folding underneath itself. You can see that's what's happening here with some of it. It's interactive. This is really when somebody says, is the website responsive? They're asking, what does the content do on smaller devices? Go back to our website that we were playing with. So what we're going to do is add a column/row. And these are green versus when you add a widget, widgets are blue. Very easy to identify the difference. Now a row has a lot of the same settings. So I can change the background, layout, responsive, advanced, just like I can a widget. But the first column here for rows is to decide how many columns or containers do we need. If I make it 3, that makes it 3 different containers that I can then come in, drop a widget into one of those column containers. So choose my image again. And let's go ahead and add 3 images. And I'll just make it easy to visualize. Now, something else that I'm doing that is very important to realize, you can clone rows, you can clone widgets. So if you get one widget formatted the way you want, clone it. You don't have to start from scratch each time. Same thing with rows. A lot of website design, it's not reinventing the wheel each time. It's designing it one way and then cloning it and using it throughout the site. A lot of stuff, it's just images, text, and formatting. So if we look at down here in the bottom left corner, we can see what this content is going to look like on different size devices. So right now we're on the wide monitor view. We can look at what it's going to look like on a smaller monitor, a tablet, and a phone. And if I look at the row settings, responsive properties, I have the ability to decide how the content works or how it acts on the smaller devices. So right now on a tablet, it's inline. It's just all being shrank, but it's still on one row. I could tell it, please stack it. And when I'm on the tablet now, it's stacked. I could again come back here, say I want it inline, and it'll be inline. So again, everything starts with just selecting a page, coming into widgets, dragging a row, determining how many columns, containers are necessary for that row, and then dragging the other widget content onto the page and formatting it using the widget settings. There's no custom code unless it's absolutely necessary, which it really isn't for most websites designed on DecoNetwork. All right, let's go back to what we came here to do, and that is to build the Get a Quote page. So what I want to do is I want to create a couple of links for the customer to be able to easily navigate to the correct quote tool. And what I'm going to do is add a widget. Let's create a heading. A heading is typically one line of text that is a little bit more bold versus the text widget is more of a paragraph. And again, we have our presets. I can change them from what we set up early in the design, and I can further edit what I want the font size to be, the height of the line, boldness. I mean, there's a lot of really cool stuff you can edit. What I want this line to be is, tell us what you are looking for. If they're going to request a quote, that's essentially what the customer is going to be doing. And to make it really obvious, I'm going to add a button. Buttons are much more obvious than a link of text. And what I'm going to have the customer do is fill out our request a quote form. And I'm going to link that to the request a quote page. Now, I can easily clone a widget. I can clone a row. What I can't clone is I can't clone a column. So a trick is if I drag a row column, and this is just one row, one column, into a column, I can then add my widgets into that column, that row, sorry, format it however I want, and then I can clone this whole row. Before I do that, I want to make my text also a link. I want them both to be links. So I'll make that request a quote. I want to make sure this has a hover effect, which it doesn't. So we'll turn it black to red just for fun. Sorry, I'm getting a little picky now. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to clone this. And remember, the reason I was getting a little picky is if you clone something, you really want it to be perfect before you clone it. If it's not ready and you start cloning it, you're going to have to go back and do a lot more work. But I'm going to clone it. I'm going to drag it over. So tell us what you're looking for versus need an instant price. Use our quick quote calculator. And that is going to take the customer to the quick quote tool. And again, I'm going to update the heading. Whenever you add content, you then want to make sure that it's going to look great on every type of device. So I look at it on a smaller monitor. And sometimes it's just the case, like in this, maybe my font is too big, or maybe my letter spacing is pretty big, which it is here. And then I look at a tablet. Now, when it comes to tablets, tablets are in a lot of different sizes. So what I always suggest is, when in doubt, stack. Because I don't, an iPad mini versus an iPad, they're all different sizes. So what I'm going to do is look at this row's responsive properties, and I'm going to stack it. That's going to look better and give me a better result. Then on a phone, it naturally does. Now, what's important to know is, whatever decision as far as formatting you make, it gets passed to the devices to the left, to the smaller devices. So if I do something on the tablet, it's going to get passed down to the phone. For example, let's say I wanted to push everything in more, which it's already being pushed in quite a bit. I can come into the tablet, and I can come into the settings, and let's just add padding, for example. And if you see, it's grayed out. And because it's grayed out, that means it will not affect the devices to the right. It's not going to affect the desktop because I'm editing the tablet, but it is going to affect the phone, which you want, until you override that setting. So again, let's just try this. We're going to pad it. Let's try 10% on each side. That's a lot. So it padded at 10%. And you can see that the content got pushed in a little bit. You barely see it on the tablet, but on the phone, you can see we're really pushed in. And let's say that it worked perfect on the tablet, but not the phone. You see that 10% is still here. I can turn it back to 4%. We go back to where we were, but the tablet is still at 10%. So again, what's important is you have to design, make sure your website pages look great on every type of device, and just know that whatever you do gets passed to the left until you override it. Let's save. Every time I click save, I'm just saving the updates. I'm not making them live. When I publish, it makes the updates live, and you can revert back to any previously published versions. And then you can go to preview and look at what this will look like on live. Let's go back. So that's our get a quote. Now we have home, products, about contact, get a quote, and the other common page that would be on most decoration websites are services. So home page, product, about contact, get a quote, the two tools, and services. The home page and the services page will have the majority of your content. The get a quote has two tools. The about contact is primarily your contact form, your map of where you're located. The product page is going to list products, and the home page is a snapshot of the website. Let's go to the home page. So we've talked about, again, the theme, design, pages, widgets. Then we have panels. Panels are essentially pre-formatted rows and widgets. For example, let's see, the large banners. If I want to do a different banner up here, I'll drag this merch one, and you can see it's just a row with widgets here. And I can edit the way the widget looks and acts. It's just a starting point. Now we're going to take off some of this from the home page. Sorry. And we're going to just add a few different panels to show you how simple it is to put together a website that can function in less than an hour. Now, what you want and what you need are two different things, but what you need out of your website can be accomplished very quickly. When your customers land on your website, what you need them to understand is what is it that you actually do. And we make merch. It does tell us what the business is all about. What I like to do is something like custom apparel printing and embroidery. Something like that. Get it across to the customer. What is it that they're going to do on the website? This is our call to action message. Immediately after that, we typically show a couple of buttons. Those buttons are the primary objectives of the site. Now, I have two primary objectives. I want the customer to either select a blank product, and this start designing is taking the customer to the products page where they can select a product and then get to the design tool. The other objective, I'll clone it, is to get the customer to request or get a quote. The next best thing to getting an order placed through the design tool is getting the customer to replace a quote. And that'll take the customer to the get a quote page. Obviously, it could look nicer, but that's just quick. Let's come over back to panels. So what else we might talk about on the panel or the home page? It's never a bad idea to let your customer contact you. So we'll come to contact us. And if you're a local business, it's also a good idea to let the customer know where you're located. They'll often come if they know you're really close. Go back to panels. Benefits. This Our Promise is not a bad starting point at all. Everybody strives for high quality, quick turnaround, great service. Add this, and then you could further format it. For example, I think it could be wider, but I didn't have to design the whole thing from complete scratch. I had something to work from to start with. And to get up and running with a DecoNetwork website, you can start by just utilizing the panels that are here and then grow from them. Of course. I bet that saved. It did. Let's come back to panels. Another one is design your own, how it works. So we'll drag it onto the page. And again, this is kind of fluffy content, how it works. Most people understand that they need to select a product before anything. But if you want to just make the page look a little bit more full and give the customer a little bit of advice, this is not a bad place to add the how it works. By the way, if you ever do anything you don't mean, click undo. It's that easy. And then after you do this undo button all the time, you think you can undo anything in life. It becomes a habit. Okay, so call to action message. Hey, this is how you can start designing. This is our promise. This is how you can get in touch. What is the most important content on the home page other than the call to action is showing blank products or typically blank product categories. When your customers come to the site, they typically have a product type in mind. I need t-shirts for my event. I need polos for my team. So what you typically will do is show product categories immediately after your call to action message. They can start designing and get a quote, but really what I wanted them to do is to select a category and then select a product within that category. After this category, the list of categories, this is all fluff information. It's nice. It's not what is typically going to lead to an actual order. This is customers interacting with the products is what really you want them to do. What I like to tell my clients is the product should do the majority of the talking. You are paying DecoNetwork for the tools embedded within the software and in the website. Those tools revolve around the blank product filter tool, the 2 quote tools we've talked about, and the design tool. Your goal is to get the customer to select a blank product in as few clicks as possible and then interact with one of the tools that Deco has built. When a customer selects one of these categories, it's going to take them to the product page and show products within the category that the customer selected. So if you look at it this way, the home page is the most important, if not the second important. The products page is the other one. It all starts with the home and the product page and then using the tools. Now on the product page, what I like to do is, one, we're going to create a fluid column. And over here, we typically have navigation. And if I come over to widgets, Deco has an awesome blank product filter tool. Should be on by default, in my opinion. This blank product filter tool will allow your customer to further filter the products based on category, available size, color, brand, process, price, and search. This is just like a lot of your suppliers do. So let's just delete. And I'm going to show you a little trick too, because I showed you how in a row I can make the categories act, and if they're stacked or inline. When it comes to a widget, I can decide, do I want to show that widget on every type of device? Because when I look at these products and we start going on to a smaller device, then we get to a phone. And this filter tool still works great on a tablet, but I get to the phone, not the best. It's just shooting me down the page too much. So what I can do is I can say, okay, the filter tool is not available on the phone. But what I had added up here is the blank product category, and it's a drop-down version. It is redundant to this, but on the phone, it's perfect. It's going to allow the customer to use this drop-down, select a category, and then show the products down here. What I want to do, because it's redundant, is only show it on a phone. So I'm going to hide it everywhere else. It's on the phone, but if we go back to any other version, it's not up here anymore. So sometimes you do two different tools to get the customer to do what we need. On the blank product page, we have the listing. Again, it's just like any other widget. The first 2 columns are unique to that widget. So here I can choose, do I want to show colors, sizes, the price? Do I want to show the brand? I mean, almost anything you can imagine can be chosen as to what you see. The most common being the name, the available colors, because the customer is typically going to make a choice on color availability. And what I like to do is I like to show the non-decoration price. It's really hard to throw a screen printing price here without knowing the quantity and how many colors are in the artwork and all the other variables. So I like to show just the blank product price so the customer has an idea of quality. Now it's not showing the decoration because there's other settings in the admin that need to be turned on. So we'll leave it at decoration. The customer will, so they go to the home page, they select a category, highlights here, they then select a product, and after they select a product, we take them to what's called the product details page. Now the product details page is down here in the system pages, along with your checkout, your user login, a lot of different things. But that is the view blank product. And if you want to edit the way that the product's information is displayed on here, you can. It's just another widget for this page. But what they're really going to do is they're going to click Start Designing. And then they're going to be taken, once they click Start Designing, then they're taken to the design tool. So it almost always starts home page, category, product, product details page, design tool. And again, the design tool is like a unique widget for this one page. So if I click anywhere on the designer, I can edit its settings. One thing I'm not a big fan of is I like to take it out of full screen mode. I like to see the navigation at the top. I don't want to feel like I'm on a different website. I can decide if I want to show the Get Started pop up, if I want to have a quote link, things like that. Now you see we have our navigation up here. Let's go preview. So I'll come back to the home page. Oh, I'm looking for a hat. Go to headwear. Okay, for my event, I need a hat in red. But I need it available actually for youth. Look how it sorts and filters down. Okay, we'll just decide this hat. We'll go learn more about it on the product details page. And then I can start designing, and now I'm on the design tool. It's really that easy. I know I make it look easy. I've done it hundreds of times, but there is no custom coding necessary. Before version 8 of DecoNetwork, you had to have a little bit more website design skills. Now it's very much so possible to build your own site on your own and get great results. It's all about making it as simple as possible for the customer to interact with. And nowadays, less is more. If you look at my primary navigation here, home, products, contact, get a quote, services. I'm not distracting the customer from the objective, which is we want to make money, and that revolves around selecting products and getting quotes. Yes, I want them to contact us. The services, they can, get a little bit of peace of mind that we are going to do the job right, but keep it as simple as possible. And I can't understate the importance of organizing your blank products. This is the biggest mistake I see from most shops. You really need to organize the categories and subcategories of the products, because the products are going to do all of the talking on the website itself. So a big portion of getting the products polished and then showing them on the site and letting the customer work with the tools that Deco's already built. All right, I think that's a good overview of how to utilize DecoNetwork's drag and drop tools, how to easily put together a site. Again, what you want and what you need are two different things. What you need can be accomplished very quickly. What you want often takes more time, and that's where you can also reach out to work with somebody like myself to help you if you don't feel like doing all this yourself. And if anybody has any questions, never hesitate to reach out to client services. The worst thing they tell you is this is out of their realm of helping, and then they put you in contact with someone like me. But if you have questions and you're running into problems, a lot of the times it's just a support ticket or coming in here and searching. There's tons of great help articles that Deco has put up over the years, and they're always being updated. I come into volume discounts, I'm going to find a great help article and often videos that are going to walk me through how we can make a volume discount. If the help article doesn't do what you need, create a support ticket, or you can contact me at decoexperts.com, or just go through Business Hub and do the same thing. But DecoNetwork software is very robust. The best and worst thing about Deco is how powerful it is. The only reason it makes so much sense to me is because I've spent 11 years using it and I've worked with a lot of clientele. And if you want to speed up the learning curve and everything else, you can always come in here when you're in Business Hub and request additional help. DecoNetwork is called a SaaS program. It's known as Software as a Service. The biggest mistake for all people who purchase SaaS software is not taking advantage of help. And that, again, either is requesting or submitting tickets or hiring someone like me to streamline the setup process and teaching you and your staff how to get the most out of DecoNetwork using your business model.
That's awesome. So thank you, Zach. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in today with us on this webinar. If you would like to go back and rewatch it, we will be posting it live, so you will be able to go back and see it. And yeah, thank you again, Zach.
Thanks, Kay.
No problem. Well, we hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.